Welcome to The Start. If you are starting a business or thinking about making a pivot in your life, you are in the right place. I'm your host for today. I hope this show gives you the inspiration to keep showing up. You are not behind, you are not alone. Growth takes time, and your path will get clearer with each step you take. So, let's dive in. Hi, Stella.
Hello, สวัสดีค่ะ
Sadika. It's so good to have you in the show. And your background has been so interesting. We have some commonalities around, shifting from full-time job in starting the project, which I find that part a lot of people is going to learn a lot from your process. And first off, can you introduce yourself? Where are you from? Where are you at right now? And what are the exciting projects that you are working on?
Lovely. So my name's Stella. I was made in Thailand in a small town called Buriram, now known as the birthplace of Lisa from Blackpink. So I'm like 10% osmosis to Lisa. So I migrated to Australia when I was 6 years old. So I grew up here. I graduated as a radiographer, which is the person who does your CTs and your X-ray and your scans. And so I did that for about 5 years and read a book called Eat, Pray, Love. And that changed the way I view how my life was at the time. And so I took 3 months off work. And when I came back, I decided I wanted to reconnect with my Thai roots. And so I resigned and packed my whole life in 2 suitcases to Chiang Mai to become a yoga teacher because that's something I'm really passionate about, and yoga's really helped me change my life. And so in 2013 I was a yoga teacher in Thailand. I lost my voice, and as a yoga teacher that's very important. So I wasn't used to teaching 4 90-minute hot yoga classes constantly, because at yoga teacher training they didn't really tell you that you got to like train your voice, like it's like a muscle. So it became infected, and so I was put on like steroids, and that was when I discovered Thai traditional medicine. So I was connected to a man in the south of Thailand who was a ninth generation medicine man. And so I lived with him for a month and then went back to Chiang Mai, and everyone thought I went to South Korea. And so that was when I was like, I really wanted people wanted to buy like some of these products or be exposed to that. So I sold my investment property in Sydney and I bought some land and built a skincare and herbal supplement manufacturing in southern Thailand. So I did that. That was a big adventure. Naively, I didn't know, I don't have any business experience or any like building a factory. So I had to learn fast, and there was many ups and downs along that journey. But that also led me to work for Tencent and do other amazing things. I studied health coaching when I was doing yoga teacher training, but I never really felt the confident to, you know, teach people or do any of those things. But when I built the factory, I built it at the base of a rainforest, and the insurance company was like, we won't insure this because it's high flood risk, because in the south when the monsoon season comes it's but I was very stubborn. I just had this beautiful vision of, this, when we collect stuff from the forest, we can harvest and then make products. So that was my dream. And 7 months later, when monsoon came, it just wiped away everything, my whole dream. So I was left with a lot of debt and a lot of workers and suppliers and things I had to meet. So it really got me out of my shell to pursue like other forms of income to keep my business going. So I became a full-time wellness consultant. So I was very fortunate to be able to work with Rasayana Retreat in Sukhumvit and Pattaya. So I became their wellness director. And then I also worked for Tencent Thailand, looking after their food application, and it just led to a whole wonderful array of things. And so now I left Thailand in 2017 to kind of like for love actually, but it didn't work out. So then I've just been between Thailand and Australia since then.
Wow. If I go into every chapter of your life, I think this episode today gonna last like 2 hours.
Yes.
There are
Okay,
so
sure.
many interesting turning point in your life. Like we have a chat a little bit before, and I didn't get to learn your full journey and to be able to see how you go through different transition from, work in as an X-ray radiographer and then read Eat, Pray, Love to become yoga teacher. And from that journey, it's direct you to be more into Thai traditional medicine in supporting yourself. And that lead you to, open up the factory. And yeah, I can relate to the monsoon in Thailand. I used to live in Koh Phangan. When monsoon come, it's a different picture that we have with the bright and sunny beach. It's really it's not easy. And then from there, you also have health coach as your life experience. You turn into wellness consultant and work for supporting different center or food company. And yeah, and then right now where you are at in how we get connected is now you are also building another two beautiful business that could support women a lot. Can you mention around that, the project that you are working on right now?
Lovely. So right now I'm working on Rice Remedy, which is my baby for the last 12 years. So that was started when I went to Thailand in 2013, and my grandfather, and that was part of the reason why I wanted to connect with my roots, because my grandparents were aging. And unfortunately, I lost my grandfather. He was Japanese, and so me and my dad inherited the rice mill. And at the time in 2014 was that huge rice crisis with the Yingluck government with when they poorly managed the rice fund. So about 10 rice farmers in our group in my grandfather's village had committed suicide, and I saw, like, growing up, even in Australia, I'm sure a lot of Asians would relate. We were told to eat every single grain of rice, like waste that. And when I spent the month in my grandfather's rice mill, I really understood why, because it was so hard for them to get a single grain. But there's a lot of waste because the supermarket wants the rice. So, and with the seasonal changes and everything. So I wanted to take, and being a health wellness coach, I used to brew kombucha. And so I thought, well, my grandmother's Thai Cambodian, so she like makes like kamak and bala. And so I found this little rice recipe. So I thought, why don't like make something out of this? And so after 4 years of R&D with this rice researcher in Patalum, we found a bacteria that can do that and produces a biocellulose material, which we turned to various projects. So that's been 12 years of R&D. It could help like people with burns. We've done some clinical studies with the university and the hospital. So it could help like particularly poor farmers or people in like remote regions in Thailand who don't have access to like healthcare. If they're diabetic, it could help with their diabetic wounds when they have that. So, and then we found it also helps people who have burns. So we had this lady, she was in this gas explosion, and after 14 days, her skin from that burn recovered. So I've just been working on that. So This is my third launch, but it's the one that I'm most proud of. And over the 12 years, I've burnt out many times. So my other baby is Oat Remedy. So it was supposed to be a skincare as well, but I burnt out for the last 2 years. And so that led me on just taking time off. So I went around Australia in a caravan, and then 1 year of just doing different therapies like breath work, like ancestral healing and everything. And then I discovered a herb called oat straw and milky oat, which are nervines that help support and nourish the nervous system. And in that journey, I realized no matter what you do in your life, and that's why my journey has been so up and down, because innately I didn't feel safe in my body. My nervous system was always on constant flight or flight, which is very common with what's going on, even though we don't physically feel it, but like emotionally we're like storing that in our muscle and in our body. So oat remedy is more like a nervous system gym and food to help nourish the invisible of what's, and rice remedy is more the vis- visible like skincare stuff. So if you suffer from like dryness or eczema or any skin irritation, that will really help cool your external stuff. So that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Wow. So there are two amazing projects that is going on with you, which is the remedy, where you have been spending 12 years of research and testing and R&D the product, and it can support people on their skin, and you find it to help people with wounds, with burns, and it's also connected deeply to the root of being Thai. And the second one that I hear is your oat remedy, where you come across this through your journey of feeling burnt out. And yeah, I think around the topic around nervous system is now being widely known, and people are getting more focused on, and finding that safety internally. And I can see that um, we didn't know how to feel safe. We don't even know that we are not feeling safe. So touch on that. I also want to hear from your experience, because a lot of times when people go through burnout, the stage that they are aware that they are burning out, it will be the stage where they have to leave everything, right? And mostly people who are burning out, I also take me as an example, is like I am high achieving, like highly ambitious, have goals that I want to achieve in life. And from time to time, if I'm not a coach, I'm sure I can easily go into that route of burning out. So, in your experience, if what are the signs that you come across that make you are like becoming aware that you are burning out now? Like, what do you spot in your day to day? And if there are women like me or you who love to put the energy on the projects, and we also love to support ourselves, how can we spot ourselves before we go into that phase of truly burnout?
So in the beginning, so the first time I burnt out, I wasn't even aware of it, but I was more tired. I didn't really have like drive, or like, lost my mojo. That's what I call it. Like you don't want to wake up. You just want to like, and everything just feels like just breathing, like you just feel exhausted from that. And I didn't, to me, because it was like, it was so chronic that it felt normal. That it just became like, that's how I should feel. But it wasn't until my friend had come to visit. I was living in Bangkok at the time. I was working for Tencent with Brasiliana, and work rebuilding the factory, and it was the constant traveling and everything. And when my friend came to visit me, it was the first time I actually had, and she took a photo and then tagged me and posted on Facebook. And when I saw myself, I was like, I didn't recognize that person. I just was like, my face was just really like swollen. Like I was like really, like physically, that was my wake up call to be like, I've let myself, I was, meant to be this health wellness person, but I just did not look healthy at all. And
Mm,
so that's when I started like, so I just resigned and at Rossignana, and I just went to, I was very fortunate that because of, I was able, they were opening the Life Co in Phuket. So it was like just amazing, like holistic wellness resort. So I was able to go there and just do a few posts and just do a bit of consulting for them. So I did that for 2 weeks to like really recovered, but it was just a lot of like sauna, like changing my diet, a lot of breathing, a lot of yoga, a lot of going to nature, beach walks and trekking the mountain and just getting that rejuvenation. And so ever since then, I've also, as I said, I constantly, because I would just um, do everything and think, I don't like asking people for help, so I would take a lot on because I find it hard to say no to people. And so the signs that when I do feel like I'm burning out is when you just don't, you just feel a bit flat. And so that's what happened to me when I got sick. And so I just take time out. Like nothing more matters more than your health because nothing will move. It's like I realize a lot of it is like energy, and a lot of it is also your inner child work that you're not even aware of, the need to like want to feel like want to be enough for someone, or but it comes down to if you're starting to notice that you're tired or your face is a bit, I call it the cortisol, that's when it's really high and you're starting to get like joint pain, just constantly fatigue, not wanting to get out of bed, and just, but then feeling like you have to. I feel like those are like the early signs that it's good to keep a log. And particularly for women, I find, because it also a lot to do with our hormones as well and our menstrual cycle, if you still have your period or if you're premenopausal, and to say it's okay. And I've been working around that cycle. So before your period, you're going to have more of like that energy. So I would schedule my life now around my womanly cycles because I feel like part of the reason why I burnt out was because like with work there's so much pressure as a business owner, as working for another big company. The normal system is surrounded by like the male sort of, because men, it takes them a day and then they recover, but whereas women, we work in like a cycle, like a 28-day cycle. So writing down what I'm feeling and letting people know as well, and asking for help if you need to. I find that what I do now to avoid that vicious cycle of burnout. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a woman, so I can relate to a lot of things that you say around, feeling like don't want to wake up. And these are early signs that sometimes in your words, it's like it's already feeling like it's normal. Is this like normal feeling? And because like tiredness, when it's become chronic, we don't even know that it's like this is not normal. And so your recommendation, if people start to have noticing these signs of tiredness or feeling joint pain or skin swollen or something, start to change in their skin. So it's like start to keep a log, journal, and I also like how you share around not asking for help because I also learning in my journey as well, especially recently that learning to connect with people more, to ask for help, to really, being vulnerable about what I really feel throughout the day. I think having that support system through friends, family, or someone that you trust is a big help. Also, this is also speak through my journey as well because trauma is all around. We don't have anybody to talk to, and if we keep on keeping it to ourselves, it's gonna accumulate stress in our body through our nervous system. So I really love that there is the way that we can start by journaling, creating our log, mood log, and what you share around women cycle, women hormones are so different than the system that the corporate are using right now, which is built for consistency, but for us, we operate in a cycle.
Rhythm.
So as a health, yeah. So as a health and wellness coach, what would you say to women who already like start to be aware that how they work in a traditional way where they are looking for like their pressure to be more consistent in delivering the work is not working for them anymore? How can they find that, that courage to start making changes?
So for me, I did a very I did the burn the boat, and then, but if I was to go back, I would have little goals, and sometimes it's the little bits, the little consistent like goals that, and a lot of time it's financially. I feel for women when we don't feel financially safe, we're not able to make that leap because it's quite scary. And so getting clear on what is your runway. If you're not, like, you know, a lot of people, if you're not happy with your job, like, what runway do you need? And then like, what do you need to make, like, write down your dreams of, okay, if you don't want to like this job, what's your dream job or your ikagi? And if you don't know, it's having that runway to be able to do what you love, like, for at least 6 to 12 months to see if that will work. And I think at the time I just went cold turkey, but it was really scary. But I was forced to, but I wouldn't recommend it. If I was to look back, I would do things very differently. But I would say, because we still have to live in the system, but knowing that it's okay, and it's like, you don't have to make like big, bold decisions. It's just like the little moments of, and also talking more to your boss or your team member and communicating that. So on very early on my journey as a founder, my boyfriend, like, I always associate myself as being the nice girl. So when I'm like, you know, catty or like moody, I would feel really bad for like being like rude sometimes when snappy. And so he actually created a calendar where each month that there's a week it's highlighted red, and it says Stella's away, Heather's in town. So that really helped. So Heather's like, yeah. So it really helped me not like identify, you know, that's not who I am. And we have like, you know, the yin and yang. We have the good sides and the bad sides of us. And stress, particularly stress, can maybe bring out the shadow side of us a bit more. So that really helped me not link myself to, like, if I'm not nice, that's not to feel guilty about it, and it's like, okay. So having that like system really helped me, coming from someone who was very structured and like, you know. But I find communicating to people that, like, you know, don't take things seriously, I don't make any decisions in that week because I tend to forget what I do. So working with the current system in corporate, and just not scheduling any meetings or anything if you're feeling that, you know, you're PMS or you're having your period, and being okay with that, and working. And then just with nutrition wise, there's like the seed cycling, which I find really helpful to like minimize the symptoms, and like with exercising as well, to like, because I know like now a lot of the fitness is very like high intensity, which when you're a woman sometimes you can't really meet that, and you feel a bit like, especially if you're a bit more driven, you feel a bit down. But it's okay not to, when you're like got that, do other activities like swimming, or probably not swimming, but sauna, or things that you could still do good for your body without over exerting yourself, and feeling okay with your goals. And yeah, have like smart women goals.
Yeah, wow. I love what you share around, don't take things seriously, and the story around your boyfriend having a week that highlighting red, that this is not the time. I think like being aware of your own cycle and start to feel empowered in adjusting your calendar to fit your cycle because you are the person who know your body best. So that's the wisdom that I get from your share. It's like when we know which week that we will feel low, then we will start, not schedule a lot of meeting in that week, and maybe perhaps being more reflective around our mood and sharing around like what we actually feel during that week. Yeah, start feeling empowered to take care of our schedule throughout knowing our cycle, right? And what you share more is also around taking care of yourself physically through nutrition and even finding exercise that feels right. Yeah, I love what you share around a lot of exercise might not feels right for us, and I definitely been there, done that, exercising, like over exercising, and it didn't feels right in my body. So yeah, I think as a woman, we have to be able to discern what are the advice that feels right for our body, and it's also important to reflect and recheck with ourselves because the solution that is good for other people might not be good for ourselves. And I also love the wisdom that you share around, we don't need to take extreme measure, right? Your journey of looking back is there is also an option to take things slow. We don't need to suddenly quit the job. Like sometime for some people like you, that might be a solution that is needed, but for some people it doesn't have to be the case. It's also making this small little step of change along the way, because at the end, finance is important, is a root cause of stress as well, and we want to find that balance. Yeah, it's a lot of things that you share that's so open and so real, and I appreciate a lot of part that you share around your story. And again, if we touch into every life journey, I'm sure you're gonna have a lot more to share. Because I haven't even touched on the earlier part of your life around, from go to yoga teacher, losing your voice, your factory closed down and rebuild that. Maybe we can touch a little bit around that. When you go through the factories closed down and you said you left with a lot of debt and with the people that was working for you, how do you navigate that period, both emotionally and, externally?
That period, looking back at the time, like my two biggest fear in my life was not having a home and not having money. That was like my two biggest fears, because when I grew up, when my parents were divorced, so from when I was 2 to when I was 6, my grandparents or my different aunties would bring me up. So I didn't really, so that's why I always wanted to have a home and money. And so at the time I was very scared. I was just, I think I froze. I was very fortunate that the lady who was looking, like, she was like kind of like the manager of my factory. She gave me a place to stay, which is, it was just a very simple, basic, like hut, like very basic bamboo hut type. There was no like, there was just dirt. And so that was, reflecting on that, I realized that money is important, but it's the relationship that you built with people. And with that, that's like when all the money's taken away from you, it's the relationship that you have with people that gets you through. So it really, I was scared, but there were so many people to help me. My friend, this lady that I connected with, she said I can come and do workshops at her just to rebuild myself. And then through that, I got to meet the wife of the Tencent Thailand, who came to my workshop, and then that got me a job at Tencent Thailand, and then I was able to get another bank loan. So looking on that, it taught me that really important lesson of relationship, that money is just also energy, and that's like, yeah, it wasn't transactional, it was people, and people naturally want to help, was the biggest thing I learnt on that journey.
Wow, that's a really deep wisdom. And yeah, relationship with people, and when one chapter close, it's also open another one, and that's where it leads you here.
Yeah. So
So if people are going, yeah, because
oh,
like right
yes.
now, yeah, everyone is talking about economic situation, uncertainty around, tax tariff, US tariff stuff that is going on, like a lot of news that can instill that fear or trigger that fear that we all have around money, or perhaps like some people already, decide to borrow money and in the situation where they are going through debt. What would be the encouragement that you will give to the audience who might go through that phase and they need support emotionally?
So when I like on that journey, it's all relationships as well. It was like, cutting back on, I didn't need that much money like, it was before my factory shut down because of the floods. I was like ordering stuff from Australia, from America. I realized that I actually don't need much, and cutting down to the very basic, so then I could build that runway to work on my dreams. And like anything, it's like a cycle. Like in 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 the kind of chaos, there's always an opportunity. And so I would never ever thought that I would become a like full-time health coach. And then when I was on that journey, I was able to be the Lorna Jane ambassador. I've never ever thought that was possible. So in every kind of what we at the time might feel like it's bad, it's always the light of then it just leads you to another path. So it's made me really trust the universe. I know it's very generic, but it's actually really true. Like I would read about it in like Eat, Pray, Love, and then when I was going through it at the time, I was like, like just because actually when I went to the south of Thailand, my mum told me not to go to the south of Thailand because of there was because it was near Malaysia and all of that. So her watching the news just like instilled this fear into me. But my fear of I just want a way to treat naturally my vocal cord being infected, that I went. But the man that picked me up, that my teacher, he looked like scary. He was like in fisherman's clothes, like he had a beard, and he was, because he was so different. And when we went to his car, he opened the back of the boot and I saw machete. I'm like, oh no, I thought I was gonna, maybe my mum was right. But just having that trust, I know sometimes it's hard, but having that, it's always gonna, and just to avoid anything that's like negative would be yeah, changing your state, like looking at what you want for the future rather than and the present moment, and being grateful. So I started doing the 5-minute journal at the time, to like each night before I go to bed what I was grateful for, and then in the morning what I'm looking forward to the day, and just keeping that. That's how I keep my mindset like positive, and kind of that energy of not going into the fear state.
So it's about trust, trust in the process, trust in the universe, trust in yourself, and for you to gratitude journal every day for 5 minutes. And it's also about taking control of our mind, right? Like to find that hope, find that positive light. And yeah, by you going through that, I think it's you have the right to share this because you've been through it. It's not just like think positively, but it's all about how do we hold ourselves through the hard moment? How do we find that strength that we all have inside us, and trust that the things that happen to us, it's happened for a reason in your journey. It opened up different chapter in your life. So that's a really beautiful share. So now we come to a close, and I would love you to perhaps promote your product on what I know that you are launching a product now, and I would love to hear more about that.
Yes, so in September I'll be launching the my third launch of my rice remedy. So it's just a ritual. I call it skinwear. So it's the fastest way to softness is to slow down. So everything's like handmade and hand cut in Okinawa in Japan. And so that's to help women because a lot of times we don't have because we're so busy with everything. It's just a moment to yourself, a small moment, but that will set your for the day. So it comes with like handmade incense. So you light the incense and then you wash your face with these rice grains from we call it upper tree rice silk, and then just with our essence, and then if you like weekly or monthly you put the sheet mask on, and that should be like a facial. And then
Wow.
I also have oat remedy, which is a set we call it sensory cues, we call it the nervous system gym. So you can take it. We have the Exilla powder, which you can take in the morning to replace coffee, because as you know, coffee could raise your cortisone levels, and sometimes people get jitters or highly anxious. So that just calms your vagal tone, and then you have more mental clarity and focus. And then we have the PMT, which I found it really helps with my menstrual and my PMS. So when you get like cramps or things like that, it's because it has all these minerals. So it also comes with like a candle and a mug. And yeah, those are my products at the moment.
Yeah, and I can relate to that. I'm also cutting down my coffee now. I used to stop drinking coffee. We both been to Tony Robbins. The first challenge that they give is to stop drinking coffee. So I stopped that, and now I come back to drink it, and I start to feel like it's a bit much. It's too much stimulant, and I'm glad that there is an alternative in having some drink in the morning instead of drinking coffee. And can you describe the taste of oat remedy? How does it taste like?
I don't know if you in Thailand, but in Australia we have this multi drink. So it tastes like we put vanilla in there because vanilla also helps our olfactory relax, and it's got scientific papers to suggest that. So it's kind of like an oaty taste with a bit of vanilla. So kind of like an oat cookie. That's what it tastes like.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow, that sounds really nice. And it's gonna be perfect for morning drink.
Yes.
Yeah. And how can people find you if they want to buy the product, if they want to learn from your journey or connect with you?
I think so. I've got my personal Instagram, which is Stella Wellness Co. And then so that our products are on oatremedy.com and then riceremedy.com. And we also have the Instagram page at the moment.
Yeah, and I will also put all the link and the name into the description of this podcast show as well. So, thank you so much, Stella, for coming here, sharing your journey so raw and so real. I would have loved to have you in the future once, both when my show progress and as you have already launched the products, we can reconnect and we can dive deeper into different part that I haven't even asked about. I'm sure there is going to be a lot of learnings and wisdom from the journey that you've been through. So it's such an honor to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
I would love to connect with you. And it would also mean a lot to me if you could share it with a friend or leave a review on the episode. A little bit about me. I'm a trauma-informed life coach with 16 years of experience in the corporate world and 8 years as a coach. I have been helping business owners and executives tap into real confidence and make clearer decisions. And if you are in the season of change and want a personal light touch, feel free to reach out about my one-on-one coaching program. I'm always happy to connect with you. And come back for a new episode next week. And until then, keep being kind to yourself.